Yo, what's going on, guys? We're back today for another video. So, the recent raids have ended, and the nightmare raids, and it was such a mess. So now Kabam has made an official response and an entire forum post talking about it. So we're going to be taking a look at that today. Let's go ahead and jump over. So, nightmare raids update and compensation. So far, they have given us 7 revives as compensation, which I used to take down the Korg. That's it so far, though. So, greetings, summoners. Over the past week, we spent a lot of time gathering feedback on nightmare raids from various sources. Nightmare raids are supposed to be difficult. However, we also want them to be something that's fun, engaging, and overall less of a pain point than they currently are. I think it's fair to say that we missed the mark on the latter half of that goal during the first iteration. We have some plans to address that and create a smoother experience for the return in round 2. First things first, nightmare raids clearly didn't hit the standard we hold ourselves to, and we remain committed to hitting that high mark. With that said, let's talk about compensation, shall we? So, Vega had a video, the second of his boycott videos, and he said something very, very similar to this. Like, the moment I read this, it just reminded me of the exact words that Vega said. It's not like a one-to-one, but this is like essentially what he said he needed to hear from Kabam, and now Kabam said it. So I feel like they absolutely saw his video, just on the language, It could be completely unrelated, but I feel like they definitely checked it out. So all summoners who partook in nightmare raids, whether completed or not, will be receiving the following compensation package. So 180 raid tickets, which is beautiful, This was the bare minimum that I needed to see, Give us the raid tickets back that we used. Ideally, more raid tickets for the next round too. They're like, but just full refund is fantastic. So that's amazing. Then we have that goes on to 1 light essence. So this is what you got at the very end of the nightmare raid. After you defeated the insane apocalypse boss, there was another chest, and in that chest was this light essence. So that's how we're going to be getting the new idol champion Lumitrix. So I don't know exactly how good just one of these is. Seems like alright though. So yeah. We have 1 Titan crystal, which is a jackpot in the final nightmare chest. A full Titan. That's pretty lit. That's nice. Okay. We got a full 7-star, 5 million gold, 2 T60C crystals, 1 tier 4A, and 5,000 glory. Man, I do not need the glory. I got 15,000 right now. I'm so stocked on glory. But yeah, so that's the compensation that we're going to be getting. So now let's talk about how we're going to make this right for round 2. So how's the compensation looking? Well, I say pretty good. A full Titan, the raid tickets back. I'd say that's really the 2 big things here. The rest, not really the biggest deal to me. But yeah, just being made whole with my raid tickets is good. Maybe, they did already send out revives. So yeah, let me know what you guys think about this compensation. Especially if you yourself participated in a nightmare raid, do you think this is worth it for the experience that you initially had? Now let's talk about how we're going to make things right for round 2. So the next time you see nightmare raids, you can expect to see the following node changes. So the removal of the phase nodes, fight timers increase from 3 minutes to 5 minutes, which I don't know how I feel about this, because it'll definitely be good to have more fight time. And I guess if the cap is still staying the same, percentage-wise, that's good. Because I was finding myself sometimes, timing out. But on the flip side of things, it's like, I already spent, 45 minutes fighting Korg. Now I have, an hour to fight him in the same amount of revives? I don't know. But if everything else is addressed, then that should just be a positive change. So, tuning adjustment to the crush pendants on Apocalypse. I've heard just from so many people how crazy ridiculous that Apocalypse was. And yeah, I myself, I didn't really do too much against him. I had Juggernaut, and didn't really seem like a good matchup. So I mainly left it to my battle group mates to fight Apocalypse. But from other people that I heard, just that he was ridiculously hard. Honestly, I heard someone say, I think it was Abdo, that said is one of the most overtuned fights we've ever seen. Something to that effect. So with the introduction of nightmare raids, we realized we added too much complexity all at once. for sure. Like, it was just so much all at once, and then they had changed, you know, all the pools of champions that we were used to for using for normal raids. It was just so much at once. We still want to chase a higher level of difficulty for this content, but we understand that it's currently not the right type of difficulty. With that, we'll be removing phase nodes for upcoming Nightmare raids, as we're still aiming for the pinnacle of difficult AQ content. We'll be targeting an increase in defenders' HP as a safer way to do this, coupled with longer fight time, or summoners will be met with less complex fights, alongside an avenue to ramp their attacker to deal satisfying damage. Finally, we've heard many say that the Crush passive on Apocalypse was too warping to deal with. We'll be addressing this by lowering the difficulty of the penance, likely by reducing its duration, but we might move in a different direction after further testing. So as for defender changes, you can expect to see the following. So a reduction to Korg's Thorns damage even further, removal of Jabari Panther's Cleanse, and removing Apocalypse stun into block. That's a good one. That's good that that's being adjusted. So it's no secret that Korg was a major problem this past week. Me and that Korg had a fun 45 minutes. Shout out to Juggernaut. Going forward, his Thorns will be given a solid bump down from its current tuning to relieve chip damage. Additionally, we found Jabari's Cleanse passive to interact poorly with too many of the roll boosts, and additionally, we feel like cutting it from her kit is the best avenue forward. Finally, Apocalypse's stun into block is a key RPG element of the defender kit, but we feel like it's providing an adequate challenge in raids, but just like Jabari's Cleanse, interfering with too many of the boosts that require you to block. I want to ensure that players still have control over maximizing their boosts and damage, and we will be looking into them more for future updates as necessary. Along with these changes, we're also addressing some bugs. Reduction of raid boss size back to normal. Dude, yeah, the Apocalypse especially was just huge, man. He was so big. And Apocalypse normally increases in size as he gains more persistent charges, but like this was just, it was so big. It was ridiculous. So Korg is becoming stun immune, and certain roll boosts failing to provide fervor. That's going to be addressed, that bug. All those bugs. And then seeing a giant XXL defender in front of you has always been a fun visual aspect of fighting in Alliance raids. However, we believe this to be the primary culprit of missing dexterity timings and whiffing attacks. I've definitely felt like my dexterity timing has been a bit off on sometimes. And I think I was noticing it on the last one, but I wasn't sure if it was because of the raid boss sizes or if it was because of Juggernaut himself and just being unstoppable. Because I feel like when I'm using a champion that is unstoppable, the dex window is just like ever so slightly differently. Like, if has this ever happened to you? You're playing an unstoppable champion and you dash back, then after you dash back, you realize you accidentally parried. Has that ever happened to you? It's happened to me a few times. So I wasn't sure if it was that or if it was this, but it sounds like maybe they identified the issue with just the raid boss being so big. This was a particular pain point against Weapon X and Korg when you need to dodge their attacks and punish their specials. We'll be shooting all raid bosses with PIM particles to shrink them back down to normal until this can properly be accounted for. I like that. That's great. So as for Korg, he seems to be going stun immune game-wide, not only in Alliance raids. That's weird. Again, another good thing about Juggernaut, though, like, it didn't matter. His Thorns damage didn't matter. Stun immunity or not didn't matter. Just counterpunch with the unstoppable light attacks. This is going to need further investigation, but we have to find the root cause of why this is happening. Yeah, that's definitely a weird one, especially game-wide. There have also been instances where it seems raid fervor gain is being lowered too much and not coming back up. We'll be doing a full pass on every roll boost to ensure they're all granting the correct amount of raid fervor. That's good to hear. And then we're also be making some adjustments to how raid force works, with the intent to help DOT champs shine more in raids. With the next round, we'll be increasing the damage boost to linger for 0.5 seconds after a hit to let DOT damage ticks also gain the increased damage. It should be a huge bump in damage over time champions' overall damage per second. That's cool. We'll be watching this one closely, and we'll be looking at more roll boosts and more balanced champion pools in future updates. Finally, we'll be adding a champion swap node after the first boss of each path. Now, this right here is, for me, honestly, one of the biggest and best changes listed, because that is, especially, like, it's so important who you bring to regular raids But, you know, with regular raids, like, we've had them for a while. The pools have stayed largely the same. Like, we kind of knew who's good to use. But now with the Nightmare raids, like, they changed so many of the champions in the roles, and we had to figure out, you know, who to use now. That's so daunting, and it's such an important first decision. And then what happens if you make a bad decision, or you're scared to maybe make a different decision? You have to just go for what everyone's saying is the best option, you know. But if there was a champion swap node, that, you know, that would allow for some testing. You'd be like, okay, I'm gonna try out this champion. If it's bad, I'll swap him out. Or if you thought a champion was gonna be good, you bring him in. At first boss, you're like, oh god, I don't want to be stuck with this. Before, you were always just stuck with that champion for the rest of the raid. But not anymore. So this is huge, man. This is the best change here, in my opinion. I'm really happy to see that. We've heard that summoners feel that raids punish them if they choose the wrong attacker. With the swap node, it will not allow you to change your role boost. You'll be able to swap out your champion to an attacker that you feel might synergize stronger with your selected boost. These champion swap nodes will be gated via your role the same way your boost selector paths are, and will only be present in Nightmare raids. This is everything you can expect to see by the next time Nightmare raids return for round 2. In upcoming raid weeks, we'll be targeting a few more quality of life changes, aiming to address feedback from the players right before and during a fight. This will come in the form of a new mode for any boss, and with kit changes like Korg's Purify being removed, called out in a note on the fight. We'll also be doing a large sweep of all in-fight HUD elements and aim to improve overall clarity. It's great because it's a little bit of a mess. And a final thing we'll be looking into will be creating a testing map to allow summoners to experiment with champ and role boost combinations. That's crazy. We don't expect this to be out within the next few cycles of raid, but we are committed to allowing summoners to ensure they're arming themselves with the best role boost plus champion combo before they get into raids. We'll elaborate more on this as we get closer to its release. We know that our players were not happy with round 1 of Nightmare raids, and we apologize that we missed the mark. We've committed to providing a fun and engaging experience for each summoner in the battle realm, and are confident that we'll be able to provide that experience in Nightmare raids. We hope that you're excited about these changes and the future of raids. Thank you for sticking with us. So, man, this was honestly a great post. Everything in here seems very positive. Nightmare raids was definitely a big mess and a big pain point for a lot of the endgame community. So, this is great. You know, I don't really have anything bad to say about this. This is great. I feel like they hit everything pretty well. This still doesn't really affect how I feel about the overall state of the game, though, and the way battlegrounds are or anything, you know. This doesn't really change my stance on anything else, but it's great for Nightmare raids and for the future. Looking good. I think it's just a great step forward by Kabam in general. But again, not changing too much stuff for me. I'm still waiting until about Season 28 of Battlegrounds to really see those changes implemented and to see the changes to the Gladiator circuit before I even really think about starting to spend again. But yeah, I think this is definitely a great step in the right direction, and just wanted to break it all down. So I'm excited to get this little care package of compensation. Definitely, well, I think I'm going to be saving the Titan for the next pool change, which is going to be a bit, about 75 days. I'll be waiting a little bit. But yeah, man, it's great to see all this. I'm just going to go ahead and wrap it up for this video. Let me know in the comment section down below what you guys think about all this. Let me know. Drop your feedback. And I'll have a link to the post in the description of if you want to open it up and read it for yourself. It's going to go ahead and wrap it up. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you have a great, wonderful day. Peace.